everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, please. Kerbal Space Program. We're going to start on what I would describe as kind of a gargantuan task for me, and that is going to be landing on Duna, which is the second planet away from Kerbin in orbit of the sun. So we got, that's Mercury, basically. Eve is Venus, of course. It's closer, yet at the same time, apparently a lot harder to land in because it has really thick gravity, so especially like taking off would cost us a lot of fuel. Duna is this game's analog for Mars, and from what I've read at least, the reason you want to maybe pick Duna as a second, or I guess a first planet to land on, after, of course, hitting the celestial bodies in orbit of Kerbin itself, is because it's very similar to Kerbin in terms of like its atmospheric thickness and, you know, the difficulty of landing and taking off from it. It's a little easier to take off from than Kerbin, but much harder to take off from than the moon, for example. Anyway, I think that landing and returning from Duna actually represents like a good endpoint for this series, a logical endpoint where, you know, I'm not gonna play Kerbal Space Program until the end of time, effectively. This might take me a week, it might take me 4 days, it might take me a month to successfully build a rocket that lands at Duna, but I think it represents kind of like the pinnacle of the achievement that I would expect to get in this game. And to be honest with you, not to reminisce, but like, dude, the first time I played Kerbal Space Program on YouTube, I think I only did like 20 episodes, but I never landed on the moon. I don't even know if Minmus existed at that point. My best episode, if I remember correctly, was essentially crashing through the moon at a high speed that broke the physics engine. Anyway, I want to start this Duna attempt here using unmanned probes because I don't want to. I'm going to probably lose a bunch of astronauts. I think the way that we have to do this, if I'm using my noggin here, is like, hey, there's Kerbin. Everything that we've landed on so far has been in orbit of Kerbin, which makes it easy. We just get in orbit around Kerbin, and then we, you know, burn at such a rate that we intercept the orbital of whatever we're trying to get to, and then we burn to put ourselves into orbit by burning at retrograde. This requires us to escape Kerbal's sphere of influence completely, and I believe enter an orbit around the sun. And I don't know. I mean, I've been looking at this tutorial because let's be honest, it's going to take me a minute here. So let's go back here. I want to read this out. To perform a successful landing on Duna, you will need a large rocket. Yes, of course. While not absolutely essential, the easiest and fastest way to reach Duna is to ensure that they are properly aligned with Kerbin. Otherwise, you may spend a lot of time, possibly years, and fuel drifting until they happen to match up. To do so, check your map and make sure Duna is ahead of Kerbin in its orbit around Kerbal. Look at it like a clock. If Kerbin is at 3 o'clock relative to the sun, Duna should be at 1:30. If Kerbin is at 3 o'clock relative to the sun, Duna should be at 1:30. Well, that's not the case. We're at like 1 o'clock, and it's at 6. So instead, we're going to warp. If Kerbal is at 3 o'clock, it should be at 1:30. I mean, we could just... I don't really care how many days we spend waiting for this to happen. It's going to take a while. I don't really know what that means, to be honest. I mean, I do know what it means. It means if we're here, then Duna should be here. I'm doing this because the tutorial suggests it. I think it just makes it so it takes a lot less fuel to actually reach the burn necessary to do like an orbital injection, if that makes sense. So we'll just give it... I mean, we can't go any faster than this. So we'll just spend a couple of years, you know, earning interest on our incredible amount of savings from being the world's greatest astronaut. And I guess we'll pause ourselves at around 3 p.m. here. It might seem like this is overkill, like why don't you just do what you've always done? But what we've always done is put ourselves in orbit around Kerbin. Now we need to be a little bit more minute in our approaches, a little bit more considered might be a good way to put it as well, because essentially we need to orbit around Kerbal instead, So I mean, it is 3 and 1:30 roughly, I would suggest. It's one of those times where I hope that I've judged this correctly because, you know, I've used a clock before in my life. So that took us almost a year. Alternatively, you can visit the Interplanetary Guide and Calculator. That won't be necessary. Okay, so take off as usual. When you've reached your orbit around Kerbin, begin your high velocity burn. Keep an eye on the map. Wait until you're at 5 o'clock around Kerbin. And get your velocity up to 3,020 meters per second. As you accelerate, your orbital path should move to intersect Duna's. There might be a brief moment where you're captured by Duna's gravity well. Okay, well, let's try. Apparently, this journey should take 70 to 120 days. But now we know at least this is where we want to be for the time being. So can I make like a quick save here or something? Let's just call this Duna attempt number 1. So, I mean, we've been talking here for like 6 minutes. The other thing that I wanted to keep in mind, though, is that it might not be possible for us to send a probe up there because we're going to be so far away. So we might want to, we'll see if we do it next episode, I guess. We'll send an astronaut this time, but if we can't communicate through our satellite array because all of our other satellites are so close to Kerbin, we might have to send up a satellite and put it in orbit around the sun at like a half the radius of what we're going to use to get to Duna. That way we can use that as a link to transmit data back to Kerbal, but maybe not. So let's build an entirely new rocket for this. I think we've talked long enough. This is going to be Duna attempt. We'll start just by putting maybe like a cupola here. What's the heat tolerance on this? It can only have one person. Max temperature 1,000. Max temperature 1,400 Kelvin. That's pretty good. Okay, so let's roll with that. This is going to be Duna attempts Mark 01. Rocket to land on Duna. Eventually, maybe. If we're lucky. Okay. So what do we need? Well, I kind of wish we could build the rocket from the ground up instead of top down, but we can do it this way. That's fine. Apparently, if you bring an engineer, you can repack a parachute, so we can just use the parachute itself to land on Duna, because it does have an atmosphere, unlike the moon. As a result, we can just pop the parachute, land, the engineer repacks it, we fly back, and then pop it again. I don't know how that works with staging, mind you, but it seems like it might be a decent choice here. So in our final stage, we need a lander, but we also wanted to have more fuel than our previous lander modules for landing on the moon and Minmus. So something like this actually seems fairly appropriate, because keep in mind, previously we were using this, and then we were putting like this fuel tank on it. Where is it? Fuel tank, fuel tank, fuel tank. We were putting like these on it, and we were landing like this, basically. This is substantially larger, maybe like 20 times larger. So let's do that. But I also want this thing to be easy to land. The parachute should make it relatively easy to land, admittedly. But and we could probably do asparagus staging for this, but I'm not gonna. Instead, let's just go with like trilateral symmetry, because I am a little worried about like weight limits here. Probably put those as low as they can go. We don't need decouplers for this, in my thinking at least. And we're gonna use the skipper engine. The reason why is because the skipper engine has been like lovely for us in pretty much every purpose we've used it for. So I think, even though it might seem a little bit overkill, I think it's a smart decision right now, because of the fact that we're gonna need a decent amount of thrust to get off of Mars in the first place. And I'm gonna call it Mars. Screw you, I won't do what you tell me! Now, we were using landing struts. I think a relatively smart play would be to put maybe 2 sets of 3 on them. We have a problem. That problem is that the engine is larger than our struts. Yeah, that's an issue. We'll tell you what. If we just put like another fuel tank underneath it, that should work relatively okay. Maybe we just use like... Yeah, that probably will not lead to us burning up in the atmosphere, so... or like lighting our own fuel tanks on fire. Plus, they should be connected, so the fuel tank should work there. And this is more fuel in the end to begin with. So just make sure we got these aligned roughly where we want them. Will this be landable? It seems relatively landable to me. All right. So the next step after that is we've forgotten some stuff. We should probably put some science on this bad boy, of course. This is going to be a little bit of a longer episode when it comes to actually getting things set up, by the way. In fact, we might largely just make sure we have like a working rocket first and then try flying in the next episode, depending on how long things get here. And I'm okay with that because it's kind of part of like a larger odyssey, I think, that we've got going on. Okay, so that's stage 1. Basically just a higher octane version of our moon lander. Let's come up here. Stage 2. I'm modeling this very much after the Mun lander. We're already almost halfway to our weight limit, though, which is a problem. You know what? Can we upgrade our launch pad? Actually, just save this and then leave. How much is it going to cost us to upgrade our launch pad or vehicle assembly? $845,000. $282,000, and we can get unlimited weight. Okay, so that's money well spent, without a doubt, in my opinion. Yeah, so now we can have as much mass as we need / want. So, do we need asparagus staging for the second half? In theory, we shouldn't. In theory, you notice I'm using theory a lot because I'm scared, but in theory, we should just be able to take, like, a lot of fuel and use this for our interplanetary burn. Of course, the more fuel we take, the heavier this thing's gonna be. I don't dispute that. But this might work as like a decent first test here. So this is heavy. In fact, it's extremely heavy. What I want to do is make sure that this will actually get into orbit. So the way that I'm going to work with that is with the asparagus staging that we previously mastered would probably be a strong word, but like are going to try to use here. Okay, so how do we make this pop? How do we make this happen? This thing is going to be tall. Step 1, I would suggest, is these things, which are just gorgeous. Now that we have no weight limit, we could also stack up 3 of these very easily. And let's just try to do so along the same axis here, like these. I'd like to move to here. That's looking slightly more symmetrical. Will these work? Yeah, it appears so. Okay, so we're gonna set up, because these are liquid fuel tanks, we're gonna set this up with asparagus staging. So we actually might want quadrilateral symmetry. By the way, I have almost no idea if this is gonna work, but it's gonna be hilarious the first time no matter what. Yeah, so quadrilateral symmetry, which means we want, first, radial decouplers. Put those about halfway up because otherwise they get finicky. And let's see what we've learned here. I don't think you're connected. Now you're absolutely connected, but I would like you ideally to be lower. Not connected. So you gotta... The problem is you gotta click on the... See, the thing is you gotta click on the... See, the problem is here you gotta click on the thing. Those ones are connected. But this is also too high. Or is it? I don't know, to be honest with you. You know what? Let's roll with this for now. One of these days. Straight to the moon. Set up. Why are you set up in the... Okay, you know what? I've done this substantially backwards. Let me try it one more time. I apologize. This goes on first, then we do it in 2s. Instead of doing it all 4 at once. That was me trying to cut corners. It would have bited us in the end. Bited is not a word. It would have bitten us in the end, is what I'm trying to suggest here. So take this. Rewind it back. Ursher got the... Make your booty go smack. See, the thing is, you gotta wait till this thing makes itself green. Problem. Oh, wait, we had it. The problem with that is that if I ever move my mouse, it doesn't want to connect to it nicely anymore. So you know what? This'll work, I think. Pop it off with some nose cones. Give yourself some fuel tanks. Sorry, fuel ducts. There you go. So that's going to be stage 1. This should be down here. Or that's going to be stage 2, I should say. Then we're going to duplicate that. Put it here. But raise it up. Because that was not even. This is also not even. But unevenness has never come back to haunt us in any way, shape, or form. Now the problem is you also want to get rid of these fuel ducts right here, fuel lines, because you want these to feed back into this. Sick. Okay. So all of you are going to fire. Then these ones should go. Yeah. Then this one should go. Then this should go. In theory, this should be set up properly. But again, I kind of expect this to be like a nightmarish task. But all we gotta do, you know, how do you eat a big pizza? One piece at a time, dude. So we're gonna start. See if this bad boy has, like, literally any chance in heck of working. I'm giving it a low percentage chance right now, but hoping for the best in the future. We are gonna lose our winglets due to our construction here, but if we could just put some more, you know, the more control surfaces, the merrier, probably. Yeah, okay. But we need, where's, oh, we get the launch stabilizers. Dope. 17 minutes. We're good to go. Duna attempt Mark 1. Got no extra electricity, no extra science, nothing like that. So the last thing we might want to do here is just fix that right up. So take this off. We're going a great distance. Put some science on here that we can reuse. Well, actually, we should just put, can we get a big service bay? Payload. Big service bay. Open doors, please. Throw every kind of science you can conceive of in here. And then surround it with like a little mystery goo. Little barometer. Little thermometer. And we might as well put some rechargeable battery packs in here. You never know. Just in case this mission ends up going like even close to okay. You're telling me this is a 9,000. Oh, because we're only doing the top of this here. Just in case the mission ends up going okay, we should probably throw a little communication rod on the top of this bad boy. And dude, I'm not necessarily saying this is gonna pop. It's a $130,000 ship. Good God. Okay. Ooh, no pressure. Just gonna level with you. It's not a great start. SAS on, please. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with this whatsoever. Dare I try a gravity turn? I don't know, dude. Seems a little scary. Let's just ride it for now. Okay. Still going. So clearly there's a couple of things wrong with this. We need struts. That's like abundantly clear. This is me attempting a gravity turn. But I gotta be real with you. It's an unwieldy beast. I'm sort of amazed that it's still functioning at the present moment. Clearly they were attached via the radial decouplers, though. Are these ones, though? They appear to be. Our apoapsis has got to be getting way up. It's not way up there at all, actually. It's amazing, like, when I first started playing Kerbal Space Program, I was like, your rocket has to be perfect to get off of the planet. Clearly not true. Careful. It actually doesn't even have to be good. Nav ball up, please. Full throttle. Looking for an apoapsis around 80,000 perchance. This thing is not nearly getting the level of thrust I would like to see. Mostly, I'm assuming because it's as heavy as hell. But all it needs to do, I mean, actually, it's supposed to get us into orbit. So this is, I would say this strikes me as kind of like a dereliction of our engineering aims here. We need more power faster. We probably could have piloted better during the launch as well. Because this is not going to get us to orbit. In fact, it's not even, I mean, close to getting us into orbit here. So let's shoot for that 80,000 apoapsis. In fact, we're actually slowing down. Should give you some indication of how heavy this freaking rocket is. At apoapsis, add maneuver. Burn like heck prograde. Periapsis of 70. Sure, that's fine. We have to burn for 5 minutes! That's too much. This rocket is non-functional. It won't accomplish what we needed to accomplish. I think, at least. I mean, it's... I should have known, but this thing is dang heavy, dude. Is it really a 5-minute burn? Like, we're already so late for it that it doesn't matter. Yes, it is a 5-minute burn. Okay, so this is just not going to function. Revert to vehicle assembly. What's the problem? We got a lot of thrust at the start, but the thing is dang heavy. So the more that we are... I mean, how many of these are there? 2, 3, okay. The more that we thrust, the longer we go upwards, the heavier it's being pushed by the same amount of thrust, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to try one last thing with this exact permutation just to see if we can make it better. I don't think we will. And again, I recognize that this thing is also a cluster fire, which is not the way that expression usually goes. It's a garbage fire for many reasons. I'm going to try to do it with a faster gravity turn, which I know seems frightening. Trust me, nobody more scared than I am right now. And also, not being as much of a little baby when it comes to our thrust. So again, do we want to be going 500 meters per second? Probably not. I'm assuming we're also using like quite a lot of fuel burning in the wrong direction because of our engines bending, but you get the idea. We'll just see if like a slightly better gravity turn. Nice. Yeah, good one. See if a slightly better gravity turn is like any chance of getting us up here. Quite honestly, I'm assuming the answer is no, but we can at least learn what's outrageously wrong with our setup right now. We're gonna get to 80,000 on fuel this time, so like actually doing a gravity turn has been quite productive for us. Do we have enough fuel to make it to Duna? I sincerely doubt it. Do we have enough fuel to land at Duna? I do not believe in a million years. Don't even get me started on the idea of returning. 79,000. 132,000. I'll accept it for now. We got to burn for 1 minute and 50 seconds. I'll be real with you. We don't have 1 minute and 50 seconds worth of fuel. There's no question. In fact, we have about 4 seconds worth of fuel. Now we have a 4-minute burn just to get into orbit. So let's revert flight. I know we've been reverting flight over and over. This is an experimentation phase. Is phase 1 the problem? Maybe. I think we could probably afford to do a couple things here. First off, how much fuel do you need for the interplanetary burn? You probably need a decent amount. Do we really want to replicate asparagus staging like multiple times? I don't know. What if we did it like this? Let's just attempt it here and see how it works. See where we need more thrust and see where we need more fuel. I know thrust, the thrust vector is like the most important thing in the world, and I'm completely ignoring it. I don't think this is a one-step backwards episode yet. Time will tell if it's a one-step backwards episode. So these are super strange. Just get them strutted up. Hopefully this holds them in place a little bit more. But this is a little bit of feeling them out, let's be honest. Probably not the world's most efficiently designed rocket. I think that this time stage 1 will easily be able to get us into orbit. Right? Okay. You know what? You've earned it. It didn't explode. So because this is a much lighter rocket, I really think this one should have no problem getting into Kerbin's orbit. The bigger problem is going to be, will it have any chance at all to make it to Duna? Well, dude, you are on a 45-degree angle. So, like, this thing can gravity turn like nobody's business. Just keep it going. We got to get out of the heavy air. Got a nice angle on this thing, to be honest with you. In my opinion, at least. Do I know what I'm talking about? For the most part, no. I would agree. I don't think we're going to need too much power to get into an orbital trajectory here, considering how much we're stretching this vector out to begin with. So we're around 30,000 here. At around 80, we want to start playing a little bit more nicely. Please don't make me burn for like 2 minutes. This was a good gravity turn. 36. 122. It's got to be over 70. $79. 438. 77. 187. 164. Well, I mean, we were supposed to do the burn pretty soon, so I know it's not perfectly circular. I'm just going to try to get into orbit. 1 minute and 28 seconds at full burn? Dude, okay. My rocket construction is idiotic here. Maybe I'll just go like mainsail engines in a more traditional asparagus staging style, because this is getting a little silly, I think. We're not going to get 1 minute and 28 seconds out of this. We're probably going to get about 20 seconds out of this. Well, we might get 30 seconds out of this. Let's be realistic here. But I don't think we're going to have enough for the injection burn. But, you know, I just realized I got 14 minutes before I need to meet Mathis here to record, is my brain okay? To record some more Escapist 2. So, we got more time than you might otherwise think at the present moment. Now, this is extremely inefficiently designed, dude. We're using so much fuel. Wait a minute, there is an engine here, right? Yeah. We will possibly be able to get into orbit, but this is using all of the fuel for our second stage. So let's just revert to vehicle assembly. And let's be a little bit more well-reasoned in our approach. So this is our... Was it asparagus staging? That's our Moonlander? Or is it called Moonlander now? I've forgotten now because I saved 80 of these. This is definitely the one that we landed on the moon. Maybe we should just be making a modification to this, because we know that the first stage is capable of getting us into orbit. The landing part is like kind of a nightmare. What do we need to fix that? And also, what do we learn about our second stage here? We're just carrying too much weight during the first stage. Let's open up Duna again. I believe in our power to make this rocket work. But I also cannot deny that it is working terribly right now. So could we remove some of the excess fuel from this part? Probably. And we could just try to land it like the more difficult way. So that's one way to pull a decent amount of weight off of this thing. Although, I don't even think these are gonna extend far enough to block the engine. Oh my god, I'm getting lost here. Okay, I'll tell you what. Open. No, don't save. That was a bad decision, I think. Open Moonlander. Look at how many moon attempts we had, by the way. And that was not even the number that we had. Moon rocket for real this time, etc., etc. Successful moon attempt rocket. Like, we spent a lot of time troubleshooting that. So I'm not going to freak out at being like one episode off here. But why does this work when the other ones don't? All I can look at this and say is less weight, honestly. So I'm kind of thinking, like, toss a mainsail on this bad boy. In fact, what if you toss, like, 5 main... But this... It already got us into orbit, is the thing. And if it already gets us into orbit, why are we augmenting the engines on this section? It's a very valid point, I think. Did I accidentally stick an engine in the middle there? Wasn't my intention, I promise you that. Like, I think I've just had one massive brain fart in this episode. Do mainsails gimbal? Yes. At 2 degrees. Skipper, 2 degrees. Okay, I'm fine with that. Should take off like nuts. Just give us a little bit more fuel. I know it seems like a bad habit. Just give me a little bit more fuel for our interplanetary injection here. Save it up. We're going to give this a try. This is a one-person ship, so we have to land it. We can't just use the engineer trick to have more parachutes. But let's try this one out. I'm assuming these are in the proper order. Oh my god, it's too fast. It is, like, alarmingly way too fast. Is this thing stable enough to gravity turn like that? It's been a while, I've forgotten. The answer to that question is probably no. Just stay prograde for the time being. It'll serve you okay. And slow down. This is way too fast. Oh my lord. So I think I made a mistake trying to use those, like, solid fuel boosters there. They're not solid fuel boosters, sorry. They're liquid fuel engines, but they come, like, all pre-packaged. You don't need to put their own fuel tanks on them. So I think that was beyond unnecessary. I think it was actually, like, deleterious. Oh, we should burn full throttle now. Good apoapsis. Decent apoapsis, anyway. Okay, this is the money shot, I can tell. What a gross way to phrase that. Add maneuver. Keep pulling. 42,000. Burn closer to apoapsis. Apoapsis 106. Periapsis 85. I can live with that. That's pretty darn circular, all things considered. As long as we don't collide with our satellite, I consider myself a happy man. Get off the prograde marker, please. We got a lot. We need a minute and 10 seconds worth of fuel. I'm not sure if we're going to get it. So again, I'm almost like pilot error here, but I mean, we're using mainsails this time instead of apart from the engine choice. Again, we're using mainsails instead of skippers. It kind of feels like this is almost exactly the same rocket, although it does taper up to use the non-Rocco Max parts at the top. So we need to burn for 34 seconds, or sorry, T-minus 34 seconds at full speed here, and then burn as long as is necessary. Probably more accurately as long as is possible. Because we're not going to get a minute and 8 seconds out of this. We might have to burn for like a minute with our next level of fuel, but we did take more fuel as well, so I guess the idea is hopefully it'll be like a 1 minute burn or less. That's roughly what it ended up being. But I do have a hard time believing we're going to have enough fuel to get into orbit, or even like to consider approaching Duna like this. We need to make our rocket a little... I think there's like two axes that compete in my brain. We need to make our rocket lighter, or we need to make it go farther. And going farther is not necessarily a product of adding more fuel. And I think that's what's hard for me to wrap my head around sometimes. But anyway, it's taken us 38 minutes to get in orbit around Kerbin, which I would describe as like a colossal failure. Maybe a one-step back episode. But you know what? This is where we're going to pull it all together here. Stage 1 does not even get us to orbit. That's like... that needs to be fixed. We've used half the fuel of Stage 2 just to get us into orbit. Then... well, let's check the tutorial. When you've reached the orbit, begin your high-velocity burn. Keep an eye on your map. Wait until you're around 5 o'clock around Kerbin, which is where we are, and get your velocity up to 3,000 meters per second. As you accelerate, your Kerbalar orbital path should intersect Duna's. All right, I see where you're getting at. Bring up the nav ball. Get your acceleration up. Presumably, we're just pointing at prograde here. Get your acceleration up to roughly 3,020 meters per second. Somewhere around there, we may have an intercept with Duna. I feel like I'm missing something. We need more than 3,020 meters per second. I think that's because our rocket is designed differently than the one that they have in the tutorial here. Yeah, we got like a lot longer to go, and we are not going to have much fuel to do it. But dude, you know what? Screw it. Fly by the seat of your pants. Okay. I mean, this seems a little unproductive to accelerate into our orbit around the sun. But what are our other options? Like, we'd like to extend this vector, so the idea is that it intercepts the orbit around Duna. Just gonna go out on a limb and say this will probably take more fuel than I've ever seen in my entire life. How is such a thing even possible? Maybe we have to go slower so we can get captured by the gravity well? I am confused. Oh, we're going in this direction. That's right. So this is going in this direction. Let's add a maneuver like over here. 82 days. Wait, we were at 5 o'clock from Kerbin, not 5 o'clock from Kerbal. That might have been my mistake there. Let me go check the tutorial again. Wait until you're about 5 o'clock around Kerbin and get your velocity up. Okay, well, I don't know. We're flying by the seat of our pants now. Get back down here. We've escaped Kerbin. We're going to be captured by the sun, and we're going to spin around. This planet's going this way. So are we. Yeah, this seems positive. Whoops. I didn't mean to pull on that one. Try this again. There's a little / a lot of trial and error involved here. What am I trying to do? Let me explain this to you so that when you leave a comment, you can give me feedback that'll help me out a great deal here. I am stuck because I don't know the next step to get to Duna. I want to make my orbit collide with Duna, which is going to require us extending our orbit, no doubt. Then, okay, so it's colliding with Duna's orbit. We need to position it properly. We're roughly on the same plane. Now, rough might be the problem there. We might need to be on exactly the same plane. Or there might be something else involved altogether that I'm unfamiliar with, but... Oh, I thought I saw a brief moment. Oh. Hold up. What am I looking at here? It's just a different apoapsis. We're getting recaptured by Kerbin at some point. God! Come on. I mean, I'm not an idiot to the extent that I think that this will collide with this, because I know that's going to be, like, Duna's going to be over here by the time we get there. I'm just, you know, work with me here. I don't want to forget my earlier teachings, but at the same time, I can't seem to get this to line up properly. Okay, I'm going to give it one more attempt before I lose my freaking mind. First off. Okay, we're leaving. Let's just go to our escape velocity. Or let's escape Kerbin is what I mean to suggest. Okay. Now that we out here, this thing's going around. At our periapsis in 100 days. I want to burn a little more. Maybe we want to do it at apoapsis instead. That's dress, dude. I don't need to get out there. I'm not going to say yes to the dress. What I want to do is collide with this freaking planet. It looks like we're on the same plane with it. That's what's bothering me right now. And at this point, we both knew this wasn't going to be a return trip. I'm pretty sure that's another Kerbin encounter. Are we way above it there? Oh, we're not. Oh, okay. Let's try this. Set as target. Okay, now we're talking. Here we go. I probably should have done that about 25 minutes ago. How does the game know that I'm going to Duna, right? It doesn't. Okay, so we're on the same plane, actually. It's here, and we're here. So I think at our descending node, we might actually just need to add a maneuver that burns retrograde. There's an encounter. Look at that. Duna encounter. We got 2 maneuvers set up here. Don't mess this up. We're definitely not going to be able to burn for 19 minutes. Let's see if we have enough fuel. Let me send a message to my buddy Mathis. I'm going to go over to Mathis and go, Mathis, I'll be 5 mins. Landing on Mars. We both knew this was a one-way trip. That's a quote from Ed Harris in The Abyss, one of James Cameron's most underrated films. Okay. Put me on the maneuver node, please. You know what? RCS on. Well, okay. RCS on. Put me on the maneuver node. I can't believe my janky strat, like, may end up working. We're going to be wicked low on fuel, by the way. I'm a little skeptical we're even going to be able to make this happen fuel-wise. Not to mention, like, I know we have no chance of making it happen fuel-wise. For this maneuver. We have to burn for 1 minute and 7 seconds. We probably have, like, 10 seconds of fuel left. However, what we do have is one more stage. Are we out of propellant? Just getting... Oh, that's because my dude's trying to put us on the stupid... Yeah. Just getting us to intercept Duna is an incredible feat, in my opinion, at least. Could you go, like, maybe a little faster? $5 days. We have to start burning at 35 seconds, so we got a long time to go here. It's been 5 days. That's all we've got. It's been 5 days. Ooh, like it. I don't remember the rest of the lyrics to the David Bowie song. For all the brain farts in this episode, I'm actually stunned. Again, I'm pessimistic that we'll land, but I am stunned that there's at least a chance. Like, I have created a vector that gets captured by Duna. That's incredible to me. Have I learned my mistake? Yes, I think I just need to leave a post-it note on my monitor that says, set Duna as your target, you idiot. Then at the descending node, you get a much greater picture of how to actually react to the situation at hand. Okay, so prograde marker, please. Do we have any science to do around here, by the way? I don't know. Can we just extend this bad boy for now? No, we are definitely not connected. So sending a probe probably would have been a wicked waste of time. Four minutes, huh? That's a problem. Well, hopefully our next burn doesn't take very much fuel at all. Because 4 minutes of fuel is too much. For many, many reasons. We might be able to sustain 4 minutes of fuel, but, like, we have one more maneuver to do, and we're supposed to land. So, you can see my conundrum here. I don't know what kind of rocket that dude was building that allowed him to make it to Duna at 3,000 meters per second. Like, I'm traveling at 10 kilometers per second. Maybe I'm the fool, as Tommy Wiseau says, but I feel like the joke's on me there to some extent. Okay, 3 minutes remaining. I want to, like, alt-tab here. Life is a one-way trip. That's true, Nick. In fact, that's dang true. I'll probably be, like, another few minutes. I'm flying to Mars in real time, and shit is taking for fucking ever. But hey, I don't have a hard cap at 8 p.m. today. I have to watch the rebroadcast of Game of Thrones at 11:42 p.m. because my wife is playing FFX 14. There you go. Dun, 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 dun. I wonder if we've all been on the toilet talking before. That's weird. Alright, so that's my cue to leave. Well, I'd say we have about 1 minute and 47 seconds worth of fuel left. No problem. We've done over half of our burn. We got a lot of fuel remaining. I think we're going to have to use our parachute to land if we're going to land. Like, if we're going to have any chance of landing to begin with. Again, I can't stress enough that just making it to Kerbin is an honor in and of itself. And by Kerbin, I mean Duna. We should not have the opportunity to do this. We botched everything in this episode. We failed many parts of it miserably. We built a rocket out of junk, and it sucked. And now, look at us. We have a small chance to potentially die on Mars, which is more than anybody on planet Earth has ever done. Sure, we landed the Curiosity. I say we, but you know. The Curiosity probe was landed on Mars. No man's ever been on Mars, though, so check it out, dude. We got a chance for Jebediah to go on yet another extended holiday. 30 seconds here. Still not connected, huh? So, I mean, it's a long distance. I'll give you that. Are we out of electricity? Is that? No, we got full electricity. And the world is made of energy, and Jebediah has got electricity. And there's a lot inside of you, and there's a lot inside of me. Okay, I mean, like, it's like you did it, but... Okay, that's good, that's good, that's good. Alright, next maneuver. We need to burn for another minute and 20 seconds. You wouldn't. In 146 days... we need to burn for 1:20. Do we have 1:20? Probably not. Of fuel? Yeah, I mean, maybe. Keep in mind we gotta burn at retrograde for a bit as well. To get in orbit. Or to even collapse on the planet. Like, if we got plenty of time here, let's go look at this. What happens when we reach... Oh, wait, we no longer have an encounter. So let's go speed 1 for a second here. This is gonna be a long-ass episode. There we go. Now we got an encounter. I think it's a few hours. Essentially, we know we're going to be burning retrograde. We don't need to keep ourselves positioned on the maneuver node, but we'll do so regardless. All right, Jebediah, how was your year in outer space? Pretty good, I hope. Oh, we missed it by, like, 2 days. That's okay. It'll still work. It's an inexact science. That's what I always say. All this just to die on Mars. You got it, Jeb. Alright, so, like, real talk, we need more satellites further out, in case it's not abundantly clear. Because we are not going to be able to transmit data back, and half of the point of doing this is for the science to begin with. Certainly we have 30 seconds of fuel left. Certainly we have 30 seconds to Mars left. This took a lot out of me, dude. I can't even imagine how Jeb's feeling at this point. Please clap? I mean, like, you should. Look at this. Dude's been in space for half a year. It's a long trip. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Elon. Okay, we're not getting captured. So do me a favor and point retrograde. We're gonna do like a small burn. We are gonna encounter Duna. That's pretty sick. I know this is gonna be considered a one-step back episode, but my boys, my girls, and the people who don't give an F, as Fred Durst said, we're going to encounter Mars. That's the coolest thing ever. Where is it? It's behind us. Three-dimensional space. The final frontier. I mean, okay, we're just supposed to, like, I mean, you might as well warp me to here when we're a little bit closer. We're still, you know, several million meters away from it, I think. So supposedly, we're about to be captured by its atmosphere. Excuse me, can you just warp me here, please? So, if you turn to your left, you should see Duna. It's, inside of us right now. Well, anyway, we're gonna burn retrograde for as long as we have fuel. We are not gonna have enough fuel to do this encounter, dude. I can tell you that with authority. Oh, wait. It's above us. First off, we should be doing this at periapsis to begin with. But it's above us. So you want to be pulling, oh my god, I'm getting confused with these lines here. Can you just let me see the planet? Like... Okay. At periapsis, we want to add maneuver, burn retrograde, and that's all it takes, boys. We got to burn for 1 minute and 52 seconds. I'm just going to tell you, it's not possible. We don't have enough fuel. But Jeb, give me a crew report. Look, it's bittersweet, but progress has been made. I just wish I could see it, like... Just let me see it. Then we can revert flight. I think this episode has been an acceptable learning experience. Is that it right? That's it right there. She will be mine. Oh, yes. She will be mine. Where did she go? Oh, yes. She will be mine. Anyway. How does our orbit look? It barely changed. Thanks for watching. We're going to revert flight. We got a lot of work to do, but progress has been made. If you enjoyed the episode, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.